going to show you how to merge shells from one Blackboard course to another. And I'm just going to pause real quick to make sure that this is recording. Okay, I think it's recording. Oops. Gotta just start over. Never mind, I'm going to keep going. Just do it. All right, so when you have your shell that you have already made, you're going to go to that shell. I'm going to do my cross-cultural psych class. So I'm going to go into the shell that already is made and it's currently running. When I go to that course, which I have opened, you're going to scroll down to packages and utilities. Oh, I did that. Sometimes I hit this arrow just to go straight to the packages and utilities. Then we want to export this course so that we can import it in another course. You'll notice that they have something called course copy. That doesn't seem to work well with our version of Blackboard, so avoid course copy. So we're going to do export archive course. Now you'll notice there's something in there. I just made that just to make time go faster, but here's what you would do. There would be nothing listed here. You're going to put export package, click on export package. Then I select all. I scroll down to where it says discussion board, and I select include only the forums with no starter posts. Otherwise, the first post in your discussion boards will be posted from anonymous. Maybe they were intended to be like example posts or something, but unless you have that, which most people don't, you just want to include the forums, like the discussion boards, and no posts in the discussion boards are going to be empty. So once you're done with that, I just leave everything else the same and I hit submit. So that takes a few minutes for that to load. So remember, this one you see here I did earlier. I usually get an email when it's done, but it usually takes, depending on the size of your course, anywhere from 15 to maybe 8 to 15 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and download this one to my computer. Oh, sorry, just click on it and I'll download it to, I have a folder that I call delete, so I know I can delete these things later. Okay, so that's going to take a minute to download. Meanwhile, I'm going to go back to my course that I want to bring it into. It's going to take 2 minutes for that large file to download. And I'll do that. I'm going to empty out what's in my empty shell, which might sound weird, but it has some default stuff you need to get rid of. So I'm going to scroll down to my empty shell. So this is for another semester. Notice you have these on the left. You're going to duplicate these and you're going to have 2 sets of announcements, 2 sets of discussion boards, and that gets confusing. So while that's downloading, the original export file is downloading, and you might not see it on your screen, but it's still about halfway left to download. I'm going to delete all of these menu items. And it just takes a little bit because you have to click, click, click. Once we've done that, if we have fully downloaded our file, we can import what we have already downloaded to our computer. And then there's still some tweaking we need to do after that. So let me just finish deleting these, and then I'll talk to you about what needs to be changed. If the course is the same timeline, let's say they're both 8-week courses, then it goes very smoothly. You can just tell it to change the dates by the time frame that you need. If one course is an 8-week course and another course is a 10-week course or something like that, then you have to do some more maneuvering, and I'll show you how to do both. Okay. I'm just trying to get back to the screen. So my file is fully downloaded, so I'm going to go and show you now what we will do with that file. This is our empty shell. We're going to go back to packages and utilities. And there's probably a lag because probably every professor is doing this tonight because courses start tomorrow. Now we're going to import a package course cartridges are coming from textbook companies, we're going to import a package. And you select this button to find your package on your computer. So you browse your computer. Then you are going to do very much like you did when you exported the package. I'm going to select all, and then I am also going to here as well, even though it's probably not necessary because I already did it once, but I'm going to include only the forums with no starter posts. So the default options of select all work well for me. Now I'm going to hit submit. Now that's not going to take, sorry, that's not going to be ready for quite some time. It takes sometimes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes for it to import. If you try to work on it in the interim, it gets kind of confusing because not everything shows up. So this is where I usually will set this to import and then walk away, you know, make myself dinner or whatever it is I'm going to do, work on other things, and then wait for the email to come through that says that it's done. So I am going to pause the video while this is importing and then bring up some other things you can do in the meanwhile. I can figure out how to get. One of the things I like to do when I'm waiting or I've already done it, let's see, is try to figure out the days that are in between the start dates from my old course to my new course. So I like to Google days between, and usually days between dates comes up. And the first link is something I use regularly. The state, let's see, it's not red. I don't know why it's not red today. I always know the one I've used because it's red. This is it. So I will take the start date from the original course that I was looking at. And I usually have that written down, and I didn't write it down this time. But let's just say it was August 21st because that's when my other courses started. So I select August 21st, 2017. And then I choose the date that my next course is starting. And so I know that there's courses starting tomorrow. Let's say that's the date that my course is starting. Okay. So I'm entering in October 20th, 2017. I don't click the include end date. I just leave it like this. Then I calculate the duration. And this tells me there were 60 days between those courses. So when my course is done importing, I can tell it move all my dates 60 days. So all your start dates, all your end dates, any dates you've entered into Blackboard are now going to be bumped up 60 days. Now, if you have an 8-week course going into an 8-week course, then you're done. Everything is moved over 60 days, and it should work out, although you do want to check. But if you're going from a 10-week course to an 8-week course or something that has a different timeline, you've now bumped them all to the same start date, but you're going to have to move things around because you're in a different time frame, and so there's not a one-to-one correlation for when things are going to be due. Okay, I am now going to go back to our screen because it looks like my import is done. Wait, application window. Okay, so this is my new shell, and you can see it's telling me the import is complete. This window will stay there until you go over and exit out. So I have to change some things now, and so the first thing I want to do is change the dates. So I'll go back over to Packages and Utilities. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm sorry. I'm going to do something else. I am going to click on Course Tools, this little triangle so I can pull down the menu, and I want to click on Date Management. After I click on Date Management, I want to adjust all of my dates. And so during the pause, I looked up when my particular course is starting, and this is not starting until spring. And so there's actually 127 days between the start date of the course I pulled in and the start date of this course. So I'm going to ask it to move everything by 127 days. And then I'm going to click Start. Now, if you choose not to do this, what you could do is there was an option in there, it would said select all dates to review. And sometimes when I'm in a hurry and I no, I just have to change a few dates here and there, I select that option because then you see them all and you can look at them and manually change them there. So I click next. And so if I had said select each date to review, this is how it would look. And so what you can see here is that I have moved my start dates to now be in 2018, which the old course, these were all in 2017 because it was a fall course. Now this is spring. So what I like to do is, you can double check these, but I like to start with the different types of things. So the first thing that's easiest for me to look at is the tests. So if I look at the tests just by themselves, ideally I already have a course calendar, so I just eyeball and make sure these are the right dates. If they aren't the right dates, then you can edit them one at a time with this little edit icon and change them. You can pick the dates that you want them to be. You can do this manually, or if you know they're all twos off, you can go ahead and select them all and then adjust. If you click to adjust dates, this comes up at the bottom and it tells you how many days you want to adjust it by. I don't want to adjust my dates. So I always start with exams because there's fewer of them, and I can then check that off my list. Then I come up, I take that off, and I'm going to now find the discussion boards because that's another one that has very specific deadlines. Why is that not working? Discussion board. So again, you can sort these by the due date and just make sure that they're roughly around the time. So this course is supposed to start January 16th, 2018. And I can see here all of these are due on Thursdays. Well, my discussion boards are due on Wednesdays, so I can tell I'm one day off. So if I wanted to, I could either do the whole course, adjust by one day, or I could just do the discussion boards. I could click the discussion boards, adjust, come down here and say -1, click go. Am I still sharing? Oh, yes. And then now I can see these are all Wednesdays. Ideally, I would have my course calendar so I could double check and make sure, okay, this particular discussion board is supposed to be due on February 14th. And so you can check and make sure those dates are right. And so what you would end up doing is going through one by one and adjusting the dates. This is the thing that takes the longest to do. Sometimes I'm in a hurry. Maybe I got a course at the last minute and I have a lot of announcements and oops, I don't know what I clicked on. I don't have time to change all of the announcements, the dates that they're going to go out, because I have to kind of look and see what we're doing that week and what's the deadlines. And there's so many announcements that the times that they should be available is so different. So sometimes when I'm in a hurry, I will select all of the announcements and make them not show up for an extra 100 days. And so then if the class has started, they don't see announcements that I don't want them to see yet because they're not going to show up for 100 days. That gives me another few days after the class has started to come in and change the dates so that they appear when I want them to appear. So ideally, when a course starts, I like to have all of my dates already set up. But if I can't get that done fast, I just bump the announcements to all start at a very late time so that I know they won't see them ahead of time, and then I can manually go in and adjust them one at a time. If you want to see what the students can see, trying to go here. I'm going to go into the announcements. I think I clicked on it. And I click on this icon that says entering student view. When I enter the student view, I can see which announcements they see and which, it's still loading, by the way, which they don't see. And so it's because I bumped those all up 100 days, you'll see no announcements are appearing here, even though in my view, a bunch of announcements are there. So I can release just the one that says welcome, so I know they see that one. And then the next day when I have time, I can go in and adjust those. So this is a good trick just to kind of bump everything ahead. You don't want to do that with the discussion boards or the exams because they can see the deadlines in the gradebook section. And so if you have it set for the wrong dates, they are now going to be confused what the deadlines are. So you really need to fix the exams, the discussion boards, the writing assignments, anything that they're going to see in the grade book. They need to see what the deadline is. Otherwise, they're going to be confused. So those will be the primary things to fix first. So I went ahead and exited that view because I want to show you something else that you can do. If you have your syllabus as a PDF and you have a link to it, if I click on my syllabus and orientation, I have a link to my syllabus here. And actually, this is my old syllabus, but if I wanted to put my new syllabus here, rather than delete the whole thing, I can click this drop-down arrow and say Overwrite File, and then I can find my syllabus on my computer somewhere. Let's pretend it's this one. So if I attach that here, I'm going to go ahead and do it because I need to replace the syllabus anyway. Now, if I click on this, it's going to be that new document, which was actually the real class. That one was Psych 30. But I'll see here on the page that that new syllabus is being loaded for that link rather than the old one. So that's a way of kind of saving time, is to use the Overwrite File option, because then your link and everything looks the same. All right, I think that's the primary stuff that would need to happen for merging a shell over. The most important thing would be to give yourself a little bit of time for things to come over, and then adjust the dates. Adjust any dates that you think the students will be able to do. Oh, sorry, one last thing I do is I go into the Grade Center. And I don't want to do that now because I don't want to show anybody's names. Oh, never mind, no one's in there, so I can do it now. If I click on the Grade Center, I want to make sure to remove some extra columns that end up being in there. So you'll see there's no students in here because no one's had a chance to enroll yet. And I don't know why it's not letting me. Let me do it this way. If I do column organization, it'll show me all. I think the computer doesn't let me scroll to the right. But these are all the assignments that have been pulled over, which is fine. But if I scroll down here, you'll notice I have weighted total and total. That is there. That was in the course before I imported anything over. And so it's going to stay in the grade book unless I get rid of it. I have my own grade that I pulled over. It's a calculated grade. I pulled that over from my original shell. So I'm going to keep that one. So I have to go through into my grade book and just delete these columns. And then I like to hide course grade because course grade might be showing and I don't want them to see that they have an F because they haven't turned anything in. So you just want to go into the grade book and fix anything, any view. And again, if you don't want them to see something, you can hide things until you've had a chance to fix it. But don't let them see something you haven't remedied because it might get confusing for them. They don't see the date created, but they will see the due dates, and you don't want them to be thrown off by when things are due. Okay, so if I were having this problem, I would need to log into a different computer or do something to where I can scroll to, I don't know why I can't scroll. This computer's been having this problem, but scroll all the way to the end where it has the total and the weighted column, weighted total, and delete those and then hide. And the way you would hide, you would click on the column itself and hide from students. Don't hide it from yourself because then you can't see it. But hide from the students, or if it's a column that you don't want and it's not attached to an assignment, you can delete it. The delete option would be here. This one I can't delete because actually it's attached to something in the course discussions, so it won't let me delete it. But if it were a field that I had just created, like the weighted or the total, then I could delete it here. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.